Hey everybody, this is long overdue. I want to thank all of you all for your messages on Facebook. And I had 67 pages of messages and I read them all. And I appreciate you taking the time. I know that this is a very interesting time that we're in. I personally think it's a time, no matter how hard it is, I think if you could sit in it, it's a time to regroup, recharge, rethink, just to think outside of the box. And I know that's hard. And I know that this is a time that we all need different things. If you are an introvert, you may need the quiet. If you are an extrovert, you probably need to be out and doing things. And if you are sort of a borderline introvert, extrovert, you may need a little bit of both. Some of you may need puzzles. Some of you need music. So be kind and gentle with yourself and just know that we all need different things and we'll get along. I want to read some of you all's emails or notes, and just to give you all a shout out. And so this note is from Penny Rudell Hurlbert. Hello, Ms. Hall. I tried to reach out to you some time ago with a question. Approximately 55 years ago, my father John and his lady Ruth hired a housekeeper nanny named Freddie Mae to take care of their newborn baby daughter, Joanna, for the next several years. They lived in Hyattsville, Maryland. I heard you on your show speak of your mother, Freddie Mae, and I've always wanted to know if this is the same person. I'm Joanna's older sister, Penny, and I would come from Wisconsin to visit my dad during the summer and always remember Freddie Mae. Joanna lives in Central Islip, New York. I would love to hear from you and find out if I solved this mystery. I'm sure Joanna would also like to know. Thank you, Penny. All right, so Penny, I hope you do find your Freddie Mae. It's not my Freddie Mae. My Freddie Mae was my grandmother. And so she lived in Lebanon, Tennessee. And so she was never a housekeeper. So, but I talk about her all the time. She is my hero. But yay to the name Freddie Mae. You know, that's such a good Southern name. So here's somebody, I love your recipes and your cooking. Can you tell me how to make bread pudding? My mother loves it. I've never made it before, and I'm a baker, but I just never made it. My specialty is cheesecakes. Hope you're staying well. Also, your mom here in Nashville. Whoop, whoop. Oh, that's a virtual hug from her, and this is Jenny. So I wanted to let you all know, and the reason I wanted to read this particular note is because bread pudding is such a tricky thing. Sometimes you get a bread pudding and it's so solid. I happen to like bread pudding that is loose, and not necessarily loose, but it's light and fluffy and it doesn't weigh you down. So it's always twice the amount of milk than you need. So for 1.5 pounds of bread, I have 8 cups of milk, 8 eggs, and so that's my base, my custard. And then I'll add whatever flavorings. But I toast my bread first, put that in the oven until it's golden, and then I take those pieces of bread and I mix it into the custard. I put all of that into the buttered pan that I'm going to cook it in, and I let it sit overnight in the refrigerator. And what happens is that custard starts to absorb, the bread starts to absorb that custard. And so when you bake it at around 350, it's going to get nice and light, almost donut-like. So if you have a bread pudding recipe and you're wondering why it doesn't come out light, it's probably that you need more liquid. So 8 eggs to 8 cups of milk. So you're talking about 1 egg to a cup of milk. Okay, that's your ratio. And that milk could also be half heavy cream and half whole milk. Okay, I hope that helps all of you bread makers out there. So the beautiful thing about this here, a lot of us are working from our homes and people are like, oh, I love seeing your house. Okay, this right here, this is my house. I have this green screen, which I'm super excited about. So that green screen is back there, and I can actually change the green screen. I want to show you all this. I can change my green screen. You want sweet? How about some cookies? And see, there I have my cookies. Oh, that looks so good. I actually feel like a weatherman. And coming down from the west are these chocolate chips, and it's really rocky because those chocolate chips are melting and there's a slide of chocolate. Be careful out there because you just may slip. It may be delicious, but you will slip on that chocolate road. Okay, back to you, Jerry. Oh my God, I've always wanted to do that. All right, so here is somebody who says, oh, why not dig into your repertoire of Southern comfort food recipes such as sour cream pound cake, peach or blackberry cobbler, what? Socket tummy cake, icebox pie, lemonade and buttermilk, chili, oxtail soup, mixed greens, collards, mustard, turnips, and kale, meat pies. Girl, this is Angela. Okay, Angela, you are singing my song, but because I'm not getting as much activity, even though I do go walking with Matthew, girl, but I feel like I should do a peach cobbler because I never really got to do the peach cobbler that I wanted to do on the chew, and then the pound cake, which would be amazing. I do mixed greens. I can do that. I can do that. That would be really good, actually, to do the mixed greens because I think the greens, it's all about the pot liquor. And you all know what I mean by pot liquor? The pot liquor is the juice that beans and greens cook in. So once that broth or stock that you make is delicious, then you put your greens in, you know they're going to be delicious. So I don't put my greens into just water and hope it's going to be yummy. I build that delicious stock, and I actually do not use ham hocks. I use smoked paprika, onions, garlic, lots of garlic, vinegar, some chili flakes, and I told you garlic, and then a little bit of water because the greens themselves have a lot of water. So in a pot this big, I may have this much liquid because the greens are going to cook down. And I always think about a pound of greens per person. Well, at least in my family, that they cook down, and it's like spinach, but not quite as much as spinach. Anyway, thank you, Angela. Lots of people have said they love Michael Simon doing these cooking demos, and I do too. I think Michael's doing a phenomenal job, and I love it. And I talked to him in Clinton the other day, and he said that it is as helpful to him to do those videos as it is for people watching because he just needs to do something. And so Michael is helping you all, and you all are helping him by being a captive audience. And I know that he's such a great teacher, and I love seeing his videos. So other people have said that they miss us on the Chew. And so we will do some kind of a Zoom call together so that we can kind of have our 7 minutes or so of Chew, almost like the first segment that we had on the Chew. So we will do that. And I hope that you all will be around for that. Because let me tell you, truth be told, we did it a couple times, and honestly, we're these old fogies and not necessarily tech savvy. I mean, I sent the wrong invite, and we thought we were taping it, and we weren't. And then it was just the only person talking who was being recorded. But it will come. It will come. And we even thought about doing a progressive dinner. So each of us will do some part of a meal, and we'll give those recipes to you all. So stay tuned for that. That will happen. Here's a good question here. This is from Marlene Cooper. So she says, I watch so many food shows and I have learned a lot, but I have 3 questions. And I'm sure a lot of you all have these same questions. What is and how to layer flavors in a dish? So what layering flavors means is that when you add an ingredient, you are putting something into the pot. Let's say I talked about those grains, okay? But let's say the base of my stock, I wanted it to be almost sweet, but I have the onions and the garlic, okay? So that's going to give me one flavor. And on top of that, I'm going to, while that's cooking in the oil, and it takes a lot of oil because if I'm doing vegetarian greens, I'm not using meat. So I need to replace the fat that is in meat with some kind of oil. Fat is a flavor carrier. So I take the oil and I cook my onions and my garlic. Okay, that's one flavor profile, but I keep going. And then I add the smoked paprika. So what's going to happen with that smoked paprika is it's going to get all into the fat and the onions and the garlic, and now it's going to change that one onion and garlicky note, right, to the smoky note. Okay, and because greens are bitter, they need balance. So now I need to add some acid. So I need vinegar. So I add vinegar. So now I'm layering because I'm always thinking of sweet, sour, salty, bitter. Okay, the onions are sweet. The onions and the garlic are sweet. The vinegar is sour. We have the smokiness of the paprika, and that's almost like it's almost like a bitter, but not quite. And then I'm going to add in some chilies. So chili flakes for some spice. And so that's what it means to balance flavor. And then of course you're going to need salt. A lot of times we don't taste our food and you have to get used to tasting salt. So my challenge to you all is when you're making a dish, so in the case of like these greens, and it doesn't have to be the greens that you're making. So take a little bit of the onions and the garlic out and put it on a plate. Okay, now add the smoked paprika. You start cooking that, you cook that down, and now the oils are going to bloom that smoked paprika, right? And now take some of that out, separate from what you have with the onions. Now I want you to add the vinegar or whatever it is, your next step to your recipe. It could be any recipe. Now you take a little bit of that out, and then you're going to add what did I say? The chili flakes, okay? Take a little bit of that out. And then you're gonna add the salt. And then every time you add something, take a little bit out so that you can go back and taste those, taste all the flavors. Now, in this case, I probably would add the salt to the onion so at least you can get the full flavor of all of the things that you're adding. And then you're gonna add the water, and that is where all the flavors are gonna build, okay? So that's about building flavor. The second question is how to create a well-balanced dish, and that's what I mentioned: sweet, sour, salty, bitter. Everything has a balance, but it also depends on what your palate is. So I love sour. My least favorite is bitter. So I'm leaning towards sour. You know, I always talk about how I love a good pucker. I love lemon. So I will always put some acid in my dishes, but you may like bitter, you may like sweet, you may like more salty. So this is where a recipe is only a guide for you. You can be sure to add some of those flavors that you like. And the third part of this question is how to be creative when given ingredients to make a dish. Really good question. So when I was on Top Chef and we had those quick fires, and let's say we went into a place and it's just a convenience store, and I see Fritos. I'm like, oh, Fritos. Okay, what's Fritos? Fritos are corn. Okay, what goes with corn? Chilies, cumin, tomatoes, you know, cheese. So then I can start thinking about that, and that's how I think about recipes. What goes with what? A really great book for you all to have. There are all kinds of flavor textbooks out there. They're not even really textbooks, but there's a book called The Flavor Bible, and it is amazing, and I love the authors. And because I'm having a senior moment, I can't remember their names, and Andrew and I'm embarrassed that I can't remember. So okay, the Flavor Bible is great. You put in you go to an ingredient and you see all the different things that go with that ingredient, and then you keep cross-referencing. So if you say blueberries, okay, what's with blueberries? Cinnamon. So then you might go to cinnamon and see what are some other things that go with cinnamon that you might add to that dish. And that's how you build a dish creatively. It's what generally grows together, goes together, but there are all of these classic combinations that we tend to use in our dishes. I hope that helps all of you all, not just Marlene Cooper. All right, this was such a sweet note, and It's from Sally Ann. I don't want to give her last name just in case she's embarrassed. She sent this note, and it says, earlier, I sent an email requesting easy, quick meals that weren't soup or tomato sauce. From the bottom of my heart, I apologize. I am so very fortunate to have food in my pantry and in my freezer and fridge. How dare I be so ungrateful that I whine about having to cook? We are well, we have food, we have a roof, we have water and electricity, and we have 6 rolls of toilet paper. We are so lucky and blessed. Please forgive my insensitivity. I want to thank Sally Ann for sending this email. I didn't think it was insensitive. I think that what I was asking for is for you all to tell me what is in your pantry. It's okay. We all need very different things. And I get that, honestly, you don't want soup. You don't want tomato sauce. That is okay. And own that. I think however you all are feeling, just sit. Maybe it's 5 minutes in the morning and check in with yourself to see how you're feeling. And if you're angry at your situation, be angry. If you're grieving for not being able to speak to your friends, grieve, but have those honest emotions so that you can move on from them and not have those emotions and judgment of yourself get stuck in your body. So, Sally Ann, this is for you. Okay, on my screen, I am trying to, hold on, I want to change my screen. I'm going to change it to this, and this is in honor of you. So this is a ramen soup, which I think is so perfect, but it's not necessarily a soup. Okay, yes it is. Okay, I wasn't ready. Girl, stop. I got something better for you, girl. The other day, and maybe I will do this, I made a pot pie with ground chicken and pork. And the reason I added the ground pork is because I really wanted the richness and the fattiness of the pork, because a lot of times the chicken is white meat and it just doesn't have enough fat. And also that flavor, but you could do it with any ground meat. And so I cooked the onions, celery, and carrots, a little bit of garlic, and I sauteed all of that. I took it out of the pot. And then, and by the way, you don't have to memorize all of this. I will give you all recipes. I'll figure out how to do that or on my website or something. And then I put the ground meat in the pan, and I got all of that dark. And when I say dark, I mean charred. I'm always saying there is flavor in the brown, because when that meat caramelizes and it gets crispy, that is going to add flavor. And we talked about all of the ways to build flavor and character and creativity in a dish. A lot of times people don't get flavor in their dishes, even though they have a recipe, because they don't take it far enough. So if you have that meat and just let it sit, let it get brown, and then you scrape all those, the bottom and the fond, this F-O-N-D, and you scrape all of that up, and it becomes part of the flavor. So once that's all cooked, now you're going to add your stock. Actually, before I add the stock, I just sprinkle some flour over the meat, and I stir it up, right? I mean, like a quarter cup. And then I add my stock. And what that stock is going to do is make the bottom wet, the bottom of the pan, and then I scrape all of those delicious little bits of that brown meat off. And I do that until my entire pan is clean of all that delicious fond. And then I add my vegetables back in. Now, because of that flour that I sprinkled over the meat, this mixture is starting to get thick. I also added thyme, fresh thyme, but this is when you can add your seasonings. You could add poultry seasoning, you could add, honestly, anything, really, anything. And so you have your vegetables, and I make sure that it's saucy enough, saucier than you think you would want it to be. And then I made some biscuits, but they don't have to be homemade biscuits. They could be canned biscuits. So I placed the biscuits on top, And then I took this whole pot, it's a 1-pot meal, and I put it into the oven and baked the biscuits for about 17 to 20 minutes. And I took it out and it's still saucy and delicious. Oh, I actually brushed the biscuits with egg wash. But you don't have to do that. You can brush them with milk. You can brush them with heavy cream. You can just, put a little butter on them. But it was really delicious. And Sally Ann, that's for you. I hope that this gives you some inspiration. And I don't think you're insensitive. An insensitive person would not rewrite that. But I didn't think from the beginning that you were insensitive. So I hope that that helps. Let's see. Let me see. Oh, here's a good one. And this is the last one that I'm going to do. I probably have kept you all too long and I can't even answer questions. But I will do another live and we can talk more. Any ideas for me to entertain my 6-year-old granddaughter on FaceTime? I love this. So far, she has shown me all of her drawings that she has displayed on the walls in her house. That took about an hour. Also, she made a village out of small cardboard containers, cereal boxes, etc. So cute. She covered them with white paper and drew a schoolroom, etc. on them. Oh my gosh, she's amazing. And she's 6. She told me all about them. She loves to read and read to me. I had a Pinkalicious book that I read to her. I need more books. She loves the Lego kits. I will send her some so we can talk while she builds them. This gives her mother a break. I'm wondering how I can play card games with her. Uno, War, Bingo. I'm so thankful for her parents who are devoted to her care and continue to stimulate her brain. Feel free to share these ideas with other grandparents. Okay, this is from Sarah Reynolds. You all know I love games. And so one of the things I think that would be really amazing for the both of you, if you did, this also works on Zoom if you're having a party, have a list of words that you will give to one person at a time and the other person will guess. And these can be emotions where you use your face. So it can be joyous or sad or disappointment or mad. I mean, all of those things, right? So that'll be really fun to play with a young person or really somebody of any age. You could also act out words. It could be active words like kick or drum or I don't know, it could be eating corn on the cob. That also gets the creativity rolling. I love crafts, and so I think that you all could do crafts together. Some games that you could actually do together. One game that I love, and that is Yahtzee. Oh my God, I had a brain fart. Yahtzee. I love Yahtzee. And maybe with Uno, if you both have Uno, then you can play with the cards, and she can pick her card and make you do a certain thing, right? And whoever goes out, you can definitely play bingo. So she'll have her set, and then you call and see who gets bingo first. That would be super fun. You go back and forth. But it's a time to be creative, everybody. And lots of you also asked about me doing crafts. Yes, yes, and yes. I will do some crafts. I'm going to do some quick recipes. I'm going to talk you through just some basics that I think will be helpful, just so you can get your head around how to create right now in this time where we're not going out to the store all the time. And necessity is the mother of invention. And thank you all for being part of my family. I appreciate this. And best wishes. I'll let you know when we're going to do our live, and I'll incorporate all of the things, or a lot of the things that you all have mentioned, and I hope I make most of you happy. And yeah, Clinton, Michael, and I will have a call, and maybe we'll have some guests join us. Okay, bye.